Talking Shirts is presented in partnership with White Oak Cottage. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
Hello and welcome to episode 95 of Talking Shirts. I'm Mike from Hull KR Shirts, and today we're going to take a look at this 2015 Wembley Challenge Cup final shirt. Now, it's safe to say I might have been putting this one off a little bit. Not quite sure why. I did consider doing it as episode 50 as a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke. That was something that I had planned. However, around that time, the family of Jordan Cox donated me one of his shirts, and that felt much more appropriate for a 50th episode of Talking Shirts, a landmark episode. So this one didn't get seen that day. I've kind of been looking past it for quite a while now, but as we head into that magic 100 number, where I'm looking at some of the best shirts within my collection, I thought I'm probably going to have to talk about this one, because with it being a shirt that was, this one was actually issued for a Wembley final, but still, it's a big part of the club's history, even if we remember it all for the wrong reasons. So the 2015 Challenge Cup final shirt was the exact same design as the home shirt, as they usually are. There is no real major changes to the design element. The only thing that we have as an addition is the game detail that goes around the club crest. So that reads Ladbrokes Challenge Cup final above, and then underneath it says Wembley Stadium, 29th of August 2015. Now, I'm a big fan of game detail. I think it's really important, especially for landmark games, whether that be for a player or for a club. Obviously, in this scenario, you can see that we've got it there for a cup final, but I love it when we see it on shirts. We saw it in 2023 with Elliot Minchella, when he had some lovely embroidered game detail on one of his shirts to celebrate a milestone in his career. And I think it's really important that we do celebrate those successes for players and for clubs, especially in cup finals. Obviously, we saw it again in 2023 when we featured in the Challenge Cup final once again, which thankfully was a much different game to the one that we saw in 2015, even though we didn't quite get over the line. So yeah, back to this shirt. So yeah, we've got an all red shirt with a nice thick blue band. This is probably one of my favourite modern day era shirts. When we think of sort of the Robins wearing red and blue, it's not something that we would necessarily associate with really recent times. When you think about it, we've not had that blue band through the middle sort of since 2018, and that was the one with the paintwork sort of design going onto it. We did see a little bit in 2022 with the lower blue band, but when you think about just the singular blue band going through the middle of the shirt, this was the last one without any sort of design elements to it, shall we say. Obviously, this one is much sort of cleaner cut. We have got the gel grips going down the front. Again, that aids and supports with the catching of the ball. And then we've also got the brands that we are used to seeing. IRS, we talk about those guys loads. Their support to the club has been huge over the years. We've got Malcolm West forklifts, and we've got Clear Sky across the front. The shirt was manufactured by Fita. We had those guys from 2014 through to 2016, produced some really nice shirts, especially in 2015. I was really happy with that trio of shirts. Even though the PNG shirt wasn't one that I instantly loved, it's something that over time has kind of grown on me a little bit, has definitely been very unique. So if we look at the sleeves, we'll probably look at both of the sleeves actually, because it's not too often you get dueling competition patches, so we'll talk about that, especially in this modern day era. So yeah, we've got a Ladbrokes Challenge Cup sleeve patch here. So this has been heat applied to the shirt. It's a little bit larger than that we would normally see on a Super League shirt, but that's really good. I mean, all of the white, it'll stand out really strongly on the television. Normally in this place, during league competition, we would have the Kingston press cider patch. You might just be able to see a couple of them up on the wall up there. For some reason, there is actually a rule where in cup finals, the Challenge Cup final specifically, you wear two competition patches on both sleeves. Like I say, it's something that I've noticed, not quite sure why. It's probably to do with sponsorship rights, especially with the game being played at Wembley Stadium and on the BBC on the hugest stage. I'm sure the competition sponsor are very keen to have their brand logo on the television as much as possible. We've got AA Jones Electrical, that has been dye sublimated above, and it's, as I said, it was the Kingston press cider that missed out on this side. As we swing it round to the other side, you'll see that we have got A1 tyres. that has been dye sublimated into the shirt. And then we've got another one of these Ladbrokes Challenge Cup competition patches. And on the right sleeve, this is where we would have usually seen the Super League competition patch. And so, as I've said, this has been replaced with a Ladbrokes Challenge Cup final one. You'll see these competition patches mostly used by teams when they are appearing on television. So in the early stages of the Challenge Cup, if a game isn't televised, they probably will just wear the Super League competition patches or the Championship patches if they are a Championship club. It's not until they progress to the later stages or games where they are shown live on TV. So before we have a little look at the back of the shirt, and we'll talk a little bit about Ben Cockayne and what could have possibly have been on the 29th of August 2015, here is a quick word from our sponsor.
White Oak Cottage is a 2-bedroom luxury holiday cottage set in the stunning Lincolnshire Wolds. It has 2 ensuite bedrooms, a hot tub, wood burner, Wi-Fi, electric vehicle charger, and is pet friendly. It is ideally situated in the Wolds, yet only 15 miles from the coast and 25 miles from the historic city of Lincoln. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
Welcome back to the second part of this episode of Talking Shirt. It's episode 95. And as you can see now, I've swung the mannequin round and we can see that this shirt has got Cockayne and number 2 he applied to the back. So yeah, the back of the shirt, all red. The band is cut off. The reason for that, as we spoke about in previous episodes, is so that when the name and the number are applied, there isn't any restrictions to the visibility of it. If that band continued all the way around, it would be less restrictive. More restrictive, should I say, on the number being visible to the referee during the game. So mostly clubs just nip that at either side and then have a plain back. If there's any sort of mild dye sublimation to a shirt, the club can actually get away with it. We did actually in 2022 with the Icons of Hull shirt. The design of the back of the shirt was still intact with the name and the number applied over it. But because that was very subtle and a lot harder to see, we didn't get away. We didn't sort of have to change, should I say. Whereas the diamond shirt in 2023, we did have to change because that design wasn't subtle enough, because that then would have formed a level of restrictive view. So yeah, we have got Yorkshire Staffing, Archbishop, Centremoot and Hull College, all of their logos featuring their natural colourways. We've been quite sort of... We've talked quite a lot, should I say, about sponsors recently, especially how they have adapted their brand. Well, these guys all appear in their natural colourways, and they don't actually look too out of place. I mean, you could argue that the big white patch of Hull College isn't exactly visible on the eye, but the Archbishop Centremoot blends in because we've got a very similar coloured blue, and then Yorkshire Staffing at the top there is very unoffensive as well. So, like I say, very happy with that. You can see here where we've got a stitched GPS pocket in the back of the shirts. We don't see that much on the modern day shirts in sort of since we've been with X-Blade stroke Oxen, because they don't actually stitch the GPS tracker into the back of the shirt. They formulate it as part of the design and stitch it into the seam where the back of the collar is, and then that basically allows it just to sort of flap a little bit. You might just see one little sticky pad which sticks the GPS pocket to the back of the shirt, so it's much less visible on the back of a shirt. You know, if we're looking at these ones up here, you can hardly see that there is a GPS pocket in there. However, there is. This one is much more visible. So yeah, we've got Cockayne and number 2 that has been heat applied. So this shirt was issued to Ben Cockayne for that Wembley Challenge Cup final in 2015. Ben didn't play, he was the 18th man. I think he was running the water that day. And it's one of those what if moments. I always feel like, you know, Ben was playing some really good rugby in 2015, and I probably thought he was in with a shout of featuring at fullback that day. He didn't play. It was Kieran Dixon that played at fullback, and I think Kieran probably had one of his worst days for the club that day. One of his worst games for the club that day. He just started. He struggled. Maybe it was the occasion. It was difficult for him, and he probably never really recovered after that. Whereas Ben still stuck around for a few years, especially after relegation in 2016. He had a really good, strong season in 2017 to support us getting back into the Super League before moving on to pastures new. But 2 spells that Ben had with the club. He made 232 appearances in that time as well, all the way from 2006 through to 2017. Obviously, with a little gap in the middle there when he did leave the club. He scored 78 tries and he kicked 21 goals. Add all that together in points, and that's 354 points that Ben scored for Hull KR during his career, which is a pretty special number, really. Very, very, very special number. For somebody that wasn't a regular goal kicker and only kicked when needed, to turn in sort of 78 tries from various different positions that Ben did play throughout his career with Hull KR is definitely a very, very good return. So yeah, 2015, it wasn't the greatest of days. We've all been mocked for it, and I'm sure we'll continue to be mocked. At least when we made the Challenge Cup final in 2023, we were able to leave with a little bit more pride, even though I know some people who would argue that the 2023 Challenge Cup final was more painful of an experience than that one in 2015. So that's everything for episode 95 of Talking Shirts. Hope you've enjoyed your tour around this 2015 Challenge Cup final shirt. Please check back in another couple of weeks. I'll be back with episode 96. Things are getting bigger, things are getting better, and I'm really going to bring you some very, very special shirts within the next 5 episodes of Talking Shirts. Thank you very much for watching. See you again soon. Bye for now.